when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. You gotta sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go. Everywhere you go. You gotta sing when you're winning. Get a goal, it's just the beginning. Sing, sing when you're winning. Everywhere you go.
Welcome to episode 26 of the Sing When You're Winning, a Fantasy Football League oddity podcast featuring distant cousins of podcast royalty and a very, very special guest this week who we will reveal very shortly. But waiting in line for the podcast throne this week, it's myself, Jamie. We've got Steve, we've got Lee, and officially signed on in the January window, we have got Jersey Chris. So how are we all doing this Friday morning?
It's cold and dark.
Cold and dark. Yeah, the lighter mornings need to come in along with the lighter nights, I think. But let's everyone introduce themselves, name of the team, and after last week's The Traitors finale, I was still clinging on to that. It's almost a week old. I want to know who was the ultimate villain in the history of your football team and why.
Excellent.
What, villain against our team or villain
within your team? So like, who as a Leeds fan have you gone?
I've got one.
And I'm not happy. I mean, you might have more than one. I don't know. Who wants to start us off? And we'll come to our guest shortly as well, and they can be having a think of this. But yeah, who wants to kick us off?
I am the manager of Farka Lottery. Having a bit of a bad run right now, but one player comes to mind as El Hadj Diouf. I don't think we need to say much more about him. Did not like watching him at all.
Right, okay, fair enough. Lee, how about you?
My name's Lee Cooper, manager of the Angry Dragons. I would say that George Graham was probably the worst, but from a player-wise, there's been so many, haven't there, for Tottenham? Just so many shit houses, to be honest with you. Eric Lamella, I think. I loved him, but he was one of them players that people just couldn't stand playing. He just winds people up, a bit like Vardy does now. So, yeah, I'll say Eric Lamella.
All right, okay. Steve, how about you?
If anyone's wearing a white shirt for Leeds, I will support them fully. So there's no villains to be had.
Not even the ones that jump across the M62 and join Manchester United. Then no.
Well, no, I liked Eric, and he was just mad. So it was to be expected. And when he jumped in the crowd and kicked the Palace fan, I knew that was going to happen. When he went to Man United, I said he's going to boil over one day, and then he did it. So I was quite glad.
You predicted it. There you
and
go.
he wasn't playing for Leeds, so there's no scandal. It's great.
Exactly. It was no scandal. Well, there was, but not with Leeds. I'm Jamie. I'm manager of Jamie's Giants, as we can see on this terrace designed mug.
Oh,
there
yes.
you go. They're the terrace, very good mugs. These they're very hard wearing and resilient and all of that good stuff. But yes, I would say as a Borough fan, the villain that comes to mind is Christian Ziege when he decided to join Liverpool. I mean, you can't blame the guy. Don't get me wrong, but he there's ways you go about it. To be fair, and he didn't go it, but I think he cheesed a lot of Borough fans off before he went.
Yeah. Well, although we did have about 6 players that refused to play at one point, so that wasn't great.
Forgotten about them.
Yeah, they're dead to you. You just forgot about that.
In the Chileno days, it was just a bad time for Leeds.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
Anyway, enough Leeds chat.
I mean, we don't often talk about Leeds on this show, do we? Let's move on. So we're going to introduce our special guest now, who've been waiting ever so patiently. This week's special guest is described by themselves on the platform X as the shoot music boss, working with some great musicians and sports brands. And Shoot Music, if you're not aware, are a music promotion specialists for the sport market. They have successfully managed artist campaigns for 15 years, constantly pushing the boundaries with fresh, creative ideas. So please forgive me if we end up talking about music for the next 50 minutes or so. This is an FPL podcast, but I could quite happily go on a tangent about music. But let's give a very warm Sing When You're Winning podcast welcome to Tom Roberts.
Thank you very much. It's a real pleasure to be here at last.
Thank you,
Finally.
Tom. Thank you. It was that sounded quite a loud, rapturous round of applause you got there, Tom.
I liked it very much. The introduction was good as well. There was definitely a few lines from the website there.
Oh, without a doubt, yeah. Cutting and pasting is my friend in there prepping for this program. As if you didn't know. But yeah, let's have a look at some of your FPL stats. Thanks to Statman Steve here. As manager of Shoot Music FC, you're in your 11th season in FPL, but you're 3rd in Sing When You're Winning. You were promoted on the final day of your debut season on score difference.
Honestly, one of the best days of my life.
Yeah. Did you run around the garden in celebration of the pub or wherever you were? Was it that good?
Yeah, it was Harry Kane that got me promoted that day. So thank you, Lee. He it was a random captain pick. Well, that was an amazing end of season. It really solidified the league for me. Being a bit of a newbie that season, it was a tough season. Didn't really know where I was, and then all of a sudden I was promoted out of nowhere. So
great stuff.
It was also the worst day ever for Tom Bird, that as well, because you pinched Tom Bird's top 3, didn't you, on the last minute of the season?
I did, but he's come to join us in the Premier now.
He's recovered from it.
Them's the excitement. You finished 10th though in the Premier League last season, which is pretty good going. There's 2 people on this podcast that were rubbish last season in the Premier League, and currently and I'm one of them, so I can say that.
It was a very different season last year. The year before there was a lot of encouragement from Steve, and then last season was just trolling from Steve every few days.
Yeah,
this is the way, Seth, to be nice to you in the first season.
A lot more pressure.
Yeah, absolutely. But perhaps more importantly than all of that, you're admin of the official FPL Music League.
This is true. I mean, so basically, since sheet music started, we've become addicted to FPL. Originally, we played a fantasy football game. Actually, we had our own. When I started Shoot, we bought our own fantasy football game, and we reskinned it, and that was our music industry fantasy football. And then over a period of time, a lot of people started moving over to the Premier League game, and at the same time, we started to work with the Premier League, who wanted to get artists involved in playing the game. And so we've actually ended up with 2 big leagues. We've got the Music Week League that we run, which is a music industry league, which is very competitive, labels, managers, live agents, lots of people from the music industry. And then we've got a bespoke FPL Music League as well, which has about 50 artists in it, which is taken seriously by some. I think some are in there because they're on a Spotify playlist and they get some nice publicity out of it. But yeah, and so that's ran very successfully for about 5 years.
Excellent. And are there any ones to watch in that music league? Are there any musicians who are really good at FPL?
I've got to say, I've noticed the bands that are on tour, they tend to suffer. So like if you look at Faris and the Horrors this year, you can tell he's finally made an album. For the few years before that, I think he spent 4 years just playing FPL. Loyal Carla's having a good season this year. Yeah. And that's because I think he's not been on the road. It really fluctuates each season. There never really seems to be a constant, mainstay of artists. It really does go up and down. And then you get people that come in and out. Some players are like, I can't cope with both things in my life, my band and worrying about it, because you do have to worry about it so much, don't you?
Of course you do.
You're trying to make an album. I think there's becoming, I think a lot of managers are probably telling their artists to put it to one side. So, the Kaiser Chiefs used to be in the league. They've taken a break from it this season. Talking of a Leeds man.
So basically, if bands are working on albums, then they drop off FPL, or if they're on tour, they certainly drop off FPL by the sounds of it.
Yeah, you can see it, and it totally changes in terms of I think we've had a different winner every year in that league. So yeah, there's very little continuity. But there isn't a glue that sticks it together like this. There isn't Steve in the background holding every manager either. So I think that's one of the things that probably needs to be introduced.
Yeah, well, maybe you can sign Steve up maybe for that. What's his fee?
Well, to be fair, Rick was having the form of his life while he was on tour, and then since his tours ended, his nose dived.
Yeah,
yeah, swings and roundabouts.
Maybe because he's now looking at his team rather than not looking at it.
Yeah. Great stuff. So shall we have a look back at the last week's game week in Sing When You Win in, Steve? And I missed out on the cup draw last week as well, so we've got some cup action that you can update us on, I believe.
Were you in the first round of the cup, James?
I wasn't, no, I got a bye.
Did you?
Yeah, I did.
Look
yeah,
at you.
Good. So I'm
Still
in the second
there,
round for the first time ever.
I was in it and I'm out of it now. So,
so you don't want to talk about the cup? Is that why? Okay.
That's I even lost to Paul Tonkinson. I think he's only won about 4 games all season. Right, I'll do this slightly differently this week because it's all on the phone's results. So, if we look in the Premier League, then Dan, who's not here tonight, sadly lost by 2 points to Mark Horseman, and Dan needed about 8 points from about 4 players to win that game, and he was messaging me saying, "My team will definitely screw this up," and they did.
Great stuff.
Chris, you lost quite miserably to Andrew Chester, which I was quite pleased to see because he are starting to slip down towards my level now as well.
Yep.
Down at the bottom, it was a bad day for the bottom 3. Faris lost to Leon by 5 points. John Gregory, he lost to Adam Devlin, and Dan obviously lost anyway. But Michelle won, so now Michelle is pulling away in the bottom 3, slightly adrift. Mark Summerton, who is running away with it, beat one of his rivals at the top, Neil Martin, so he's pulling clear there. And Mark got 85, so that was the top score in that division. Closest to that was Alistair Bruce Ball, who beat Richard Archer with an 80-60. Moving into the championship results, down at the bottom, Joe Derrick got a win against Rich Lay. Cole Jenkins, we got the big score there, hit 82 to beat Dave Atkins. Swanee won again. He also got 82, so Swanee's starting to pick up now at the bottom. At the top, Jim Daly, he beat Nick 66-54 to keep him top. He seems to be unstoppable at the moment and looks like he's heading for promotion. Jamie, obviously, you lost to Tom. And Lee, how did you get on? You won. You beat Andrew Clancy, who's right up there. So that was a good result for you.
Was beat average.
Into League One, the top score there wasn't a very high. That's Paul Spence got a 76. He beat Anton. Mike Bushell beat Nathan Clark 65-64. Very tight one. And another 1 point victory for Nigel Clark. He beat Phil Quar 61-60. At the top, Rich Pipes beat Steve Wirebrandt 74-62. Top there is Jamie. He's quite clear, and he beat Ben Taylor, Magic Ben Taylor, whose team didn't disappear in act this time, 58-46. In the Conference League, and Sophie Ridge also got a 1 point win. She beat Duke Witter 66-65. They're both near the top. Ben Halliwell lost. He was in the top 3. Grace lost by 2 points to rock bottom Chris Murray. So Chris, having made a few changes, Chris has finally got a win. I think that was his 4th win of the season, so he's got double figures now.
Good stuff.
Maddox is now won 5 or 6 in a row. He beat Natalie Pike. That was a good win for him. Neil Robertson beat Vicky Sparks. They're also near the top there. And Pete Martini was top, and he drew with Indiana Hawks. And like I said, it was the other one. No, and that's it. Moving on.
That's it.
Right.
Moving on.
So now we look at the league tables. At the top there, Premier League, Mark Summerton has got 51 points. He's 5 points clear now of you, Tom, in second place now. You're the new person carrying the torch for everybody else. All the others that have been chasing all season keep beating each other. So Ed's is 3rd with 45. Paul Chambers, 42. Neil Martin now on 40. Down at the bottom three, 21 points, Faris. Dan has 20 and John Gregory has 18. But John and Faris play each other this week, so I'm hoping John might win that one to keep me nice and safe just in case I lose again. Michelle is now 7 points clear of that bottom three. And Chris, you've just poked yourself into the bottom half of the table, I'd just like to point out.
Thanks, Steve.
Only 5 points in front of me, but the way you go on, you'd think you're about 20 points in front of me.
Mark Somerton is a very hard person to play, I've decided.
He's doing really well, yeah. I think he finished second last season.
And he beat me. You know, I never start the season very well, but now I don't get to play him for the rest of the season.
Yeah, that's the trouble with our in 24 teams, yeah.
Yeah, I get 2 games with Tom Bird within 4 weeks.
Well,
how do these fixtures work?
That might work in your favour if you've only got to play Mark once.
I mean, it should be the last game of the season, surely.
No doubt I've got him twice. In the championship, then, top is still Jim. He just keeps getting clearer. He's got 51 points now. He's only lost 6. Cole Jenkins is now in second place, Lee, and I'm sure you'll be pleased about that.
What? He's cheating, though. How's he cheating the system?
Well, he beat me when Ahmad had that crazy madness 10 minutes the other week. I was comfortably beating him, and then I blinked, and he went on a win again. So there you go.
Yeah, his score-wise, he's not particularly reflecting his position, but he's there. He's second. Third, Henry Mullen, 44 points. Andrew Clancy, 42 points. Tom Gregory back in the playoffs, 40 points. And Stu Dunn has 40 points also. Carl has slipped out of the playoffs. He's got 39 points now. Jamie, you've just got into the top half again.
Yeah, I'm win one, lose one at the moment. It's not good.
Lee, you're top of the bottom half. And down at the bottom, pretty close now. If we go 6 from bottom, Alistair Griffin's got 27. Then Ross Millard, 27. Joe Derrick, 26. The bottom 3 are Jonas, 25. Swanee's got 24. And Rich Lay's got 22 in his bottom now. Swanee's started to pick up a few points. League One, Jamie Hurst is the leader there. He's 8 points clear of Rich Pipes now. Ben Hope has leapt up to 3rd place now and also manager of the month. So congratulations to him. That was pretty close between him and Michelle and Ross and Steve Wybrand, who's also in that division.
And what did he get for manager of the month again?
He gets a selection of Wizard Cola.
Yeah, from the Portions place.
I think sometimes you get a bit of rum in there as well. So
very nice, very nice.
I don't know whether he's a drinker or not. Give it to his wife, I suppose. Not suggesting your wife's an alcoholic, Ben.
He's not a drinker, but his wife clearly would be. That was the inference there. Let's move on.
Yeah, let's. And Stu Kelly somehow has managed to get to himself 5th place in the League One now. Stu is normally 5th from bottom, I'd say, really. Down at the bottom there, Craig Wilson is just outside on 30. Brez is still in the relegation zone, 29 points. Then it's Magic Mod Ben Taylor, 24 points. Nathan Clark with 19. And Chesney won his 5th game of the season. So he's got 15 points now, but he's now 15 points away from safety. So
he can do it, the big comeback.
45 points to play for. So it's going to need some pretty decent form there, and I thought.
Yeah.
Conference League, despite not winning, Pete Martini extended his lead. He's got 49 points. Still the top 3, though, is Grace in 2nd, Ben Halliwell in 3rd. The playoffs now, Natalie Pike, Sophie Ridge, Joe Singleton's up there now, and Neil Robertson with Vicky Sparks and both the Witter boys just behind them. And at the bottom, of course, Chris got his 4th win, so he's got 12 points at the bottom. Just above him is Paul Tonkinson with 21 points, so there's a bit of chasing for him to do there.
Yeah.
And Paul, as I said, beat me in the cup. So well done, Paul.
Well done, Paul. We also need to say well done to Neil Robertson. I don't know if you saw over the weekend, it was Australia Day.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been recognised with the Medal of the Order of Australia for services to snooker.
Yeah.
Which is very, very good. So well done. Congratulations.
Which makes him the first Sing When You're Winning manager to have such an honour.
Yes, exactly. So we we should acknowledge him with the respect that he deserves.
Yes.
For that. So there we go.
Until we get Jason Donovan in or Kylie or somebody.
Imagine Kylie on this podcast.
Oh.
Imagine that.
Maybe Henry from Neighbours or somebody like that.
Yeah, I'd love Henry from Neighbours. Yeah, Bouncer from Neighbours.
Bouncer the dog. Yeah.
We had the dogs on last week, didn't we? We had
did.
your dog on, didn't we, Lee? So there you go. Shall we look ahead to some games this weekend then? Some real football. We've got on Saturday another top of the table clash: Bournemouth v Liverpool. Now Bournemouth at home, they are flying.
Tasty.
So,
Bournemouth are good, aren't they? Yeah.
Exactly. Although that could be cursed when I finally put Clivert in my team this weekend. But yeah, what do we think? Bournemouth, Liverpool.
Well, I literally had Utara in my team on Saturday morning. I thought, because he's like 5 million, but I was going to swap Diaz out. And then I thought, I can't get rid of Diaz because it's a double game week thing coming up. So he scored a hat trick, didn't he? So that was great.
Yeah, he did. He was flying. But yeah, Tom, what do you think? Bournemouth, Liverpool.
Well, yeah, it's the start of a double game week for Liverpool. I know there's a big gap between this first match and then they've got 2 games in between. Haven't they got the League Cup and the FA Cup in between? I think they have. They play Everton.
You're right. Yeah.
And, so I know everyone's loading up on their Liverpool players, but it's a tricky double game week, isn't it? I mean, I would expect Bournemouth to get a goal or 2 in that match.
Yeah,
I think it's going to come down to who can put the most away. I think we'll be looking at a 2-2 draw if I was a betting man.
Bit of a 2-2, yeah. Could see that happening.
Yeah, I feel like it's strong, and I just hope they, look after some of their players, especially since I've just signed Gakpo for Solanke. He saved my week. I'm hoping that he gets a couple of goals and gets off early.
Yeah, you make a good point though about that. It's quite a big gap. So, like you say, on the injury front, just because it's a double game week, you could have people who might not make it to the second game.
It's a bit of a fake double game week this week, I think, isn't it? It's a lot of hype, but because of that, because there is so much football in between, I wouldn't necessarily charge in to have loads of Liverpool and Everton players.
Yeah, it's wise words.
And he likes to rotate a lot, doesn't he? So you're going to get a lot of Diaz for Gakpo and what do we call him? Darwin's going to get a run out, isn't he?
Yeah. We shall see. But yeah, anyone fancy a clear winner in that game, or did we just think too close to call?
Yeah, it could be literally anything, couldn't it? I wouldn't put it away from Bournemouth from not winning it, but then if Liverpool could win 3-0, I have no idea.
I think I've gone against Bournemouth for the last 2 weeks, so I'm actually going to go for a Bournemouth win this weekend.
Right, it's away banker then. Thanks for that, Chris. Brentford Spurs on Sunday. Sorry, Lee, to do this to you again.
I just don't know. I don't know what's going to happen there.
Well, it's going to be a lot of goals to Brentford, I'd have thought.
Yeah,
I have to get Whistler in.
Whistler and Mbeumo at home, surely.
Yeah. Again, I fancied Spurs battering Leicester this weekend.
You said that last
so
week,
I'm going to say Brentford are going to batter Spurs.
Yes.
I think Spurs will be lucky if they get a goal in that game.
Yeah.
That's where we're at now with Spurs, aren't we? It's bottom of the barrel.
Can't see where they're going to come from. Can't see where goals going to come from. And I've noticed over the past, I know everyone keeps saying about Ange just playing the same way all the time, but past few games he hasn't. He's made some slight tweaks. We've not been playing quite as high. And look how that's worked. So he's changing his system, and it's just not working. But I don't know. I'm going to go for a Spurs win. I'm going to stay positive. Got to stay positive.
I don't think they deserve to win. I held on to Solanke for all these game weeks for him to play Leicester, and then Kulusevski I've hung on to for a while as well. I mean, they've showed disrespect to my FPL team.
They do.
Yeah, Madison. That's where me and him are at. He's going out this week and never will return. So there we go. Arsenal City is the big game of the weekend, though. Ooh. So what do we think?
I'm going City on that one. I think they're doing the January hitting form again, and I think I said it last week. I can see them, possibly overcoming Liverpool. To be honest with you, there's not that many points between them. Liverpool.
Still, though. I mean, it would be some phenomenal effort were they to do that. Tom, what do you think?
Well, I've only got Gabrielle out of all, out of the three teams. So I'm hoping for a 1-0 Arsenal victory with a bullet header in the second half.
I'd be happy with that.
I feel like,
Dreams can come true.
yeah, they can. I mean, I feel like the Man City defence cannot be trusted at the moment. So I think there's goals there for Arsenal. I think I'm going to go for I'm sitting on the fence a bit with some of these predictions, but I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw here. Foden and Havertz.
Okay. Havertz. Wow.
Yeah.
that's the biggest surprise of the whole prediction.
He's due a goal, isn't he?
He is.
He's due $1 million, isn't he? But anyway, 1-1. Anyone else? I'm gonna go. I actually think City will do Arsenal well and truly at the weekend. Haaland could even get. He's due a hat trick, isn't he? To be fair, so.
Well, the new lad looked lively as well, didn't he? Marmouche.
He did. He did look lively.
He might be a missing piece for him.
Yeah, I think City will win, and I don't see them losing many games towards the end of the season now. It's just what they do this time of year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Put it into second gear.
But that guy at centre half, God, he looked like he was going to be crying. Poor lad, he was just
Felt
dying.
sorry for him.
I felt sorry for him, and I hate City.
It was all over his face, wasn't it? It was like, what's happening to me?
Where have I come to?
Cool. So yeah, Arsenal City is the big Super Sunday game, so that's something to look forward to. But so yeah, those are the three games we've picked ahead of this weekend. Let's chat more now to our special guest Tom. So we ask everybody this question. We normally ask why Leeds United. That's a regular question, but I'm pleased to say that you support somebody other than Leeds United. You support the mighty Reading. So why Reading, Tom?
I mean, it's not usually a conversation starter, this one, is it? Reading. But so I mean, I was born in Reading, essentially. Cool. I mean, surrounded by a lot of kids, when I was at school who supported Chelsea and lots of London teams, being very close to London. Mm-hmm. I lived very close to Elm Park, and it was a great football ground to walk to from my house. And I fell in love with the club very early. As a kid, I could walk there.
Yeah.
And my brother used to just go and stand on the South Bank, and it's it's ingrained in my DNA since then. I still go as often as I can now. There, we're going through tough times now. But my dad tried very hard to get me to support London teams. He supported QPR. That didn't work. He took me to see Spurs a few times. So he thought he'd try, and I saw some good games. I saw Hoddle and Waddle. I saw Ozzy Ardiles score a few goals. But the Reading Massive that I became part of, as we were called in the rave days, became a very important part of my life. And so I moved away from Reading in my early 20s, but I still go back there, at least once or twice a month. And they're a club that are very, I think they have stayed quite realistic as a football club in terms of, what they're trying to do. It's like, it does feel like although they've been through a hard time recently, it feels like a club that has a big community. It's got a big heart. So it's a big part of my life.
Great stuff. Because was it 2 seasons ago? It was touch and go potentially at one point for survival, but they seem to have worked through that. Yeah,
I mean, they are in a lot of trouble, Reading, still. They have a very complicated ownership situation, which I think, it's happened to a lot of football clubs, so I probably shouldn't just whinge about the whole thing here. But, if you look at the history of Reading, it was bought by John Medeski, who owned Auto Trader, and he basically took the club to a new stadium using a local business. Auto Trader was based in Reading, employed a lot of people in Reading. Yeah. And, he turned that, he continued to generate this very local story. And then as soon as he tried to exit, and it's been sort of a tale of different ownership, different people coming in with different objectives. And I think we now, I've become much more involved in the club again myself. So my history with the team is that I think it was about 1993, I was a DJ in Reading, and they needed someone to fill in for the match day DJ for a few weeks. So I did the DJing at Elm Park and the PA announcing. Mm-hmm. And I've sort of had this ongoing relationship ever since. Recently with Shoot, we've become the official music partner for them. and we've started to try and find ways where we can begin to build back into the community again. So the club now have a music policy that works with the local live venue, the Purple Turtle. There's a stage outside the front.
Yeah, cool.
Trying to get more people in for other reasons.
Mm.
And we've got some good bands coming through, you know, the Amazons, Only the Poets.
Oh, nice.
Some really big bands that are supporting the club. So it's been through a hard time. It's still in a bit of a mess financially and otherwise. It could change any day there. So we're just doing what we can to help it.
No, sounds good. It's very much a trend, isn't it? The football teams kind of having bands coming along. I know York City do that with Jorvik Radio every match day. They have a local band comes along and plays on the concourse, and yeah, it's becoming more of a popular thing. I went to Man City a couple of years ago, and they get some they've got a huge stage outside the Etihad and stuff like that. Match day entertainment is a huge part of the occasion now, though, isn't it?
It massively is. I mean, that's one of the big things we do at Shoot as well. So the whole Shoot Music promo that we work with clubs is helping them connect to the local community, or finding ways that you can, you know, use music to get people to come to the ground a couple of hours early. So if it's a band or the music show that you're putting on before a game has really increased in the last 4 or 5 years.
No, it's brilliant to see, because it makes it a longer day out, doesn't it? It's not just about cramming into a pub till 2 minutes to 3.
It's quite similar to what the Americans do, isn't it? Because they have the big entertainment for the games and obviously go through. So
it's experience beyond the actual match, isn't it? And that's what you want to get people in there, take your kids, and you know, it's they do it quite a bit Super League as well. So you know, when I was living in Lee, kind of the Lee Leopards, their owner Derek Beaumont, he was really keen on getting local bands on there, and you know, they do halftime and pre-match and stuff like that. And you know, Super League's not full of money and it's not full of fans, to be honest with you, but it was a great way to get people in. And it
same as the cricket at the 100, the DJs there, haven't they? So
yeah, they have bands on most games at the 100 as well, stuff like that.
Although it's also a way of getting a decent beer, because like at Reading, their fan area is surrounded by the local breweries, so you know there's the proper beer.
Better.
Yeah, and so that, you know, again, it's like it's raised the standard of the match day.
Yeah.
Some awful beer that you have to drink on the concourse. You know, it's not a proper pint, so a proper food.
Yeah, it is transforming in some ways, the football day out. But let's go back to Reading, the actual team for a second. You've mentioned a few kind of highs, lows in a bit, but what would your ultimate highest of highs be and lowest of lows supporting Reading?
Well, do you know what? One of them came in the same match. So, I mean, 1995 playoff final v Bolton.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if anyone can recall this season, but it was actually the only year they only put one team up out of the championship. And we finished second that season. I think Middlesbrough won the league that year.
We did. It was our last game at Elm Park. So it was inevitable that we get promoted, but sorry.
It was very close. It was very close. I think, you know, we probably didn't have the ground to be in the Premier League. Probably, you know, we didn't really have any right to be there at that stage either. I think it was, you know, a really, you know, amazing bunch of players that we had. That, you know, we had Shaka Hislop in goal, and you know, we had some amazing players. But that Wembley final, just reaching Wembley at that stage for the history of the club at that point, was just an amazing day out to be playing Bolton Wanderers at Wembley. And we went 2-0 up in that game. Then we missed a penalty and we ended up losing 4-3. I mean, it was one of those classic playoffs. And it went from the best day ever to, you know, one of the worst days of my life. You know?
Absolutely.
But I still hold that very fondly, because I think it's, you know, a bit like I said earlier on, it was like that. It was suddenly this first time that Reading had been incubating as a team and this community, and then suddenly we had this big day out together, and it did just feel very special. So I would certainly say that's the big one.
Awesome. Well, thank you. It's time for the homework questions. We ask everyone on the panel to do their homework and have a question prepared for you. But before we get to that, I've got 2 quick questions for you. The first one, just bear with it. If you could play the lead role in any stage play, what would it be?
Blimey, well, that's a curveball, isn't it?
It's always a curveball. It's
I
fine.
went to see Back to the Future, the musical, the other day,
Oh, it's good.
and I
Isn't it?
thought, I want to be in this show, man.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it was Christmas, you know. I want to be Michael J. Fox. I mean, there's you know, there are so many shows that I'd love to be part of. You know, I've been to a number of shows recently that have been mainly musicals, to be honest with you, because I have a musical family, and I think you know, one big show that I still love is Joseph and his Technicolor Dreamcoat. I mean, I quite like. We went to see Jason Donovan doing that at the Palladium.
Cool.
I mean, I think any sort of show where you could get to, you know, have no shame. Basically.
There's lots of them about.
Answer to it. So.
Yeah, there's lots of them about. Well, no, thank you for answering that one. Next question, then, quickly before we move on, is what's your favourite sporting anthem? Like if you're getting ready to get the teams to come out, or you're at any kind of big sporting event, could be the 100 or somewhere like that. What's the track that you would put on to get a bit of a miserable crowd going?
I mean, this might be because I've just been watching the dance, but I love Planet Fun, Chasing the Sun. Yeah. I think, you know, still a tune that is like, yeah, let's go. I mean, we're an upfront promo business, so I'm always trying to push new tracks on people. Yeah. And we quite often get, you know, a new piece of music that comes through. I mean, there's a track by Wilkinson called This Moment that we did a lot of work with last year that was used at the Wembley finals. Okay. And I feel like that is a similar sort of track to the Planet Funk, Chasing the Sun, but it's much heavier on the drum and bass and much more credible. And it's that's sort of become, so I've kind of got two. That's like my new one, and my old one would be
cool. To give that a listen. No, thank you. So who's done their homework? Who's eager to ask their question?
Lee.
Always. I mean, it's a rhetorical question, really. It's obvious the answer to that one.
I always, you can take the grammar school out of the boy and all that. Yeah, I always do my homework. But yeah, first of all, thanks for your supporting, you know, grassroots artists and, you know, supporting other sports as well as kind of Super League from my point of view. Which have you ever seen an artist or listened to a song and immediately thought that song or artist will match that sport? They just go together. Kind of links onto Jamie's a little bit, but kind of beyond that, you know, Tom Grennan, Manchester United or whatever. Is there anything like that?
To be honest with you, it happens all the time in terms, because we're a business that follow the calendar. You know, we're always thinking in terms of, you know, like the Formula One season is going to start soon. So my mind is like, what's going to work for that that's coming up soon? Six Nations is this weekend, and I think it happens a lot that, you know, a new piece of music will land on our desk, and even without knowing that, we try and build a story for every artist. So usually we ask them, are they into? Do they support Leeds? Do they support Reading? Whoever it is, we try and build. Yeah, we try and build it up. But yeah, I mean, there's probably hundreds of examples of tracks where we have immediately gone, right, that works really well on the snooker, you know, that works really well on the darts. But I suppose to answer the question fully would be that it's when you get a new artist that nobody knows anything about, that you kind of, you know, that makes the difference, that sort of moves the dial for them. So we worked with a kid called Tom Spate last year. He sent us a track this time last year, and as soon as we heard it, we thought that sounds like a Match of the Day soundbed to us. We played it to Match of the Day team, and they've played it ever since, basically. And I think for him, the backdrop of his campaign, you know, as an independent artist that's putting his own music out, has suddenly had this story for him to tell. He's a big Liverpool fan, so we've been able to tie the stuff around it. But it was because of, you know, us hearing something and knowing where it sort of would belong amongst some supporters. Has really elevated what we can do with him and what he can talk about and what he can do. Plus, you know, people hear him on TV, you know, every Saturday night, 10 million people. So, yeah, did I answer that question? I tried to.
No, you did. No, absolutely. No, it's fascinating stuff. It genuinely is, because you were involved with Soccer AM, weren't you? in getting bans on Soccer AM. Is that correct?
Yeah. I mean, so Fenners, he was the last presenter and executive producer, was the first, in that long historical show, who suddenly said, I want to put live music on every week. And we put the DMAs in, I think, for the first show, who are a great band, by the way, if you don't know them. DMAs from Australia. And then it became a regular weekly spot, and it worked very well. I mean, we really miss it now, actually.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not, Saturday, people said it wasn't as good as it used to be, but I think it reinvented itself, and it was actually brilliant TV at the point they axed it. It was a shame to see it go.
It just became a different show. I mean, the era before it, was probably more, there's lots more comedy in it and skits and things. It was brilliant. It's a brilliant show. But it moved on, and it was it wasn't like a live. It was a bit like the fan zone chat stuff we've just been talking about. That's live music. Here's this thing. It was shorter, and they should bring it back.
They definitely should. Let's start the campaign right now. Let's do that for sure. Steve, have you got a question?
I'm going to go on to a fantasy league type question then, Tom. So you've got so many people in the music league. Who would you like to get in the music league?
That's a good question, isn't it? I mean, so bringing some more musicians into the league.
Anybody who got a target to bring somebody in, an all-time artist you'd like to get into the music league.
Well, I mean, this year Felix White joined the music league, and I think that he's someone we've done a lot of work with over the years, and I knew he'd be good at FPL, and he's absolutely slaying it. So I think using him as a barometer. I think there's lots of other bands out there that probably aren't, they don't take it seriously enough. Like they don't take FPL seriously enough. It would be nice if Noel Gallagher decided he wanted to play FPL, for example. I'm sure he could waste hours of his life instead of writing amazing music, worrying about what his team, what his team's going to do. So I mean, with the Oasis reunion this year, that would be a dream. It'd be nice to get a few more dance DJs in there. We know that Calvin Harris is an FPL fan, but doesn't seem to want to get involved on a. Some artists don't necessarily want to play other artists, so it's a tricky one. But to be honest with you, I'd like more artists generally to come and get involved in it, because I think the more we could build that community, the more places you could take it, really. Because we've already got this Spotify playlist that runs with the Premier League, but it's not really pushed in any way. And I think one of the things that I would really like to see happen is to have a bigger collection of musicians playing, and then introduce a musical element to FPL, so everyone could pick their walk-on music that would be on the app. It's like, you've got your kit, why can't you have your walk-on music? Actually link to a big Spotify playlist, and maybe it could be an opportunity to help promote lots of new artists. So, rather than it just being anyone you want, it could be that FPL only have local music from clubs. So it's whoever's played the Reading stage, or whoever's played the Leeds United fan zone. And so then you begin to create something new that's a way of, beginning to push. I'm just pushing my music agenda here.
I love the idea. I genuinely do.
I think people have it as well, picking your own walkout music.
Yeah, they could do a lot more with the app, couldn't they? To sort of personalise your FPL page and stuff like that with a bit of music or a badge or something. I know Lee's got a badge for his team.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a bit sad, isn't it? But
it's incredibly sad. But you know what? It's got a little star above it, because back in the early days, I won something and then it's just been down. So yeah.
Mate, please send me a picture of it so I can put it on screen.
I will send you
in this week's episode. I'd love to do that. Go on.
And also then, Tom, are there any Scottish female FPL managers that you might think would be suitable for our league?
Her name's not Amy, is it?
Yeah, that'd be a good name. Yeah, somebody like that.
Yeah, I mean, there's, I need to go on a tour of Scotland, I think, to go and canvas artists properly. There's a few artists north of the border that should be involved, really. Well, you've got Travis involved in the Music League, FPL Music League.
Cool.
Buggy's very good. Maybe we could use him as the education for other Scottish acts.
Because you did get very close to signing Amy in the summer, didn't you?
It was very close. Yeah, it was just fell to pieces on deadline day.
It's part of it. It's got to happen every year. You've got to almost get her and then not. It's just it's got to be the one that you can never get hold of. It would almost be a bit of a shame if she did join the league. So, the thrill of the chase and all of that. So, Chris, have you got a homework question?
Yeah. So, in the Super Bowl, you've got the halftime show. If you were given, let's say, the FA Cup or the Champions League this year, who would your artist of choice be? Whether it's up and coming, legendary, and would it work?
Well, I mean, I think that this concept should be implemented in the FA Cup. I think they could have an amazing halftime show. I think if you look at like how the Brit Awards is done, with how they're able to get an artist on stage very quickly and put on a big show.
Mm-hmm.
There is definitely the infrastructure to do something like this in the UK. I think that's always been the problem with football, is that you can have the halftime show in NFL because they spend so long off the pitch messing about that they need to put something else out there.
That's true.
But I think I'd quite like to have 2 or 3 different artists. So I mean, I think maybe pre-match I'd have Central C, because I think his album, is such a football player's record, and I know a lot of the football players are using his music on their Instagram, and I think in terms of that hype before a match, one of the things we're trying to do with football clubs is make sure that the music that's played when they're training is what they want to hear, and that's something we're hearing a lot about. Mm-hmm. So I think that would be a popular choice with. I think that'd be a popular choice with players. I think the halftime show, I'd really like to go, and bring in an artist from another territory, and so, I'd probably look to the US. I think maybe bring in a big American rock band, someone like Green Day at halftime. They're a band we've done a lot with in the last 12 months. Sean Dyche could maybe sort that out. He's a big fan. He's a big friend of theirs. They've had him at a gig and they've sent him a shirt and all this stuff. So I think a big rock band at halftime that people can sit and watch. And then I think you could probably close, at the end when they're, in between the ceremonies and things. I always think there's a bit of dead time there as well. You could roll, you could roll somebody new out. It could be Tom Spate, who we mentioned earlier on his piano, who everyone would be familiar with the music, or it could be, it could be like the introduction spot where you kind of got this captive TV audience from the fans that are waiting for the cup lift, and you prioritize an amazing new piece of music.
No, I love the idea.
Brilliant.
Hope the FA is listening.
Let's hope they are. We'll push that bit on there. We'll push that bit on TikTok. Although my post last week was banned from TikTok. I was given a warning, and I watched it back, and I was like, I don't think this has violated anything. So I appealed, and they said, "Yeah, sorry, we were wrong. Yeah, it's crack on." Like 4 or 5 blokes talking about Spurs losing for a minute violated something.
Someone's taking offense.
TikTok.
Yeah, sorry about that, mate.
I was like, did Ange complain or something like that? I genuinely don't know. But anyway, so shall we have a game of Sing When You're in Superfan?
Oh,
Do you like a bit of quizzing, Tom?
Yeah, love it. Let's go.
Good stuff. Well, each week we test our guests' footballing knowledge and see how many questions they can get correct in 90 seconds. Now, the score to beat at the top is 6. So if you were to beat 6 in 90 seconds, if you got 7, you would go straight to the top of the charts. There's a lot of people on 2. But part of that is because we do use, for this season only, and we'll move on for next season, should we come back next season, is ChatGPT. And it asks lots of stupid questions, I think it's fair to say. So if ChatGPT is wrong, we'll pause and do that. I've already looked down the question list today, and there are some very stupid questions. Where one of the questions was who got relegated on 100 points from the Premier League and stupid stuff like that. Because of course you can get relegated on 100 points from the Premier League. So let's just hope there's less of that nonsense when we get into the questions.
And don't ponder, just pass if you don't know.
Yeah, there's a few people recently pondered too long.
That's probably a future question for Man City, isn't it?
Yes. Could well be.
The future.
Could well be. Yeah. I mean, this AI stuff's clever, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? They're probably looking ahead. So Steve's going to be the timer. He's going to time 90. And after 90 seconds, he will shout something topical to call an end to proceedings. If I'm mid-question, I've started, so I'll finish. And who wants to do the scoring? Chris or Lee? Which one of you wants to raise your fingers in the air and do the scoring?
Chris can do it this week.
Chris can do it this week. Yeah. That can be your job for being officially part of the gang.
I got loads of different reactions.
Yeah, this was what happens when Lee does it, though. We still don't know how that works.
Do that.
Feel the effect.
If you're watching this on YouTube, it makes sense. If you're listening to this on Spotify and Apple Music, it makes no sense whatsoever. Lee's just sticking the...
I was going to say Lee's making gestures.
Yeah, he's flicking the V's if you're listening to it on Spotify and Apple Music. That's what's going on. Right, less of this nonsense. 90 seconds on the clock. First question is, which club holds the record for the most consecutive league defeats in Premier League history?
Derby.
It's Sunderland with 15 in a row. Which team holds the record for the most goals scored in a Premier League season?
Manchester City?
Yes. Which English player scored a hat-trick in a 4-0 win against Hungary in the 1954 World Cup?
Bobby Charlton?
It was Nat Lofthouse. That's very left field. Which club has the most consecutive appearances in the Premier League since its inception in 1992? Strange question.
Liverpool?
Everton, or the other side of the city. Who was the first manager to win the Premier League and FA Cup in the same season?
Arsene Wenger.
Sir Alex Ferguson. Which team was the first to finish a Premier League season with a negative goal difference and still stay up?
Ipswich Town?
West Bromwich Albion. Who scored the first ever goal at the Emirates Stadium?
Blimey, who was playing for Arsenal then? Thierry Henry?
It was Thierry Henry. And which manager has the highest win percentage in Premier League history?
Brian McDermott.
No, it wasn't Brian McDermott. But yeah, I've started, so I'll finish. Imagine. Yeah, Steve Coppell was a legend. Which manager has the highest win percentage in Premier League history?
It's got to be Pep Guardiola, isn't it?
It has to be Pep Guardiola. You scored, I think, what was the score? I'm going to jump in there.
3.
It was 3. Well done.
3 correct.
3 points.
Questions in there. I mean,
there's some strange questions. The Nat Lofthouse, where the hell did that came from? We never have questions that old.
Too old.
So there we go. But yeah, you can safely say you're in the top half of people who've taken part in this quiz because there's millions on 2. I think
you are not number 2.
No, that's good. That was difficult. That was a hard quiz.
No,
next time, please.
Thought you did well. Let's have an update on Bletchley Scott. So they've been doing all right lately. They've been doing all right. They had back-to-back wins. Do we think Bletchley won 3 in a row, or do we think they finally came unstuck?
I think confidence is high. They won.
They beat Shenley FC 3-2. So they were going into their latest game. How do we think they got on?
1-0 draw.
What was that?
1-0 draw.
1-0 draw. Anyone else?
I think they lost 4-0.
Ooh.
Do you know?
I do. Well, they won 3-2 last week, and they also won 3-2 again this week. So 3 wins on the bounce puts them 4th in the league.
Wow.
Yeah.
Bletchley are on the up. So come on, but they're playing Tattenhall this weekend, who sadly beat them 11-0 last time they played earlier in the season. So let's keep our fingers crossed that they can overturn that 11-0. I mean, they could win 3-2 again. and have 4 wins on the bounce. But to be fair, they're doing brilliant at the moment, 4th in the league.
Excellent.
So let's do a special. Come on, Bletchley.
Come on, Bletchley.
Come on, Bletchley.
As they play Tattenhall. And don't forget, you can follow at Bletchley Scott FC on Instagram for updates. You don't have to wait for this pod, people. You can find out over the weekend what they're up to. And you can also wear and get hold of the Bletchley Scott top as well, which none of us are wearing this week. We need to get back on that. So let's play. We normally play Shooting Stars at this time, but we're gonna mix things up. You'd think we should have played Shooting Stars, given that you're from Shoot Music, to be fair.
Yeah.
But we're gonna. Has anyone heard of a Jock Jam?
No.
No. It's an Americanism. You'll be pleased. Well, you're not surprised, are you?
It's not a Scottish tube station, is it?
It's not. I mean, it could be a Scottish tube station in Glasgow, maybe. But no, a Jock Jam is a song that has come to define the in-game experience at a pro sports arena.
Oh.
Essentially, it's described as a canon that spans rock, hip-hop, dance, and country, and still includes pop songs old and new. So we're going to play a game of higher and lower on the top 20 Jock Jams as chosen by Billboard in the USA. So we got that.
Yes.
See, there is research goes into this show.
Yeah, I should know more about this.
You should. I thought Jock Jams would be right up your street, Tom.
They are now.
They are now. Start calling it Jock Jam. So I'm going to pick a song. I'm going to tell you which number it is. So we start with, and then I'll pick subsequent songs, and you tell me if they're higher or lower in the top 20 of Jock Jams. Thinking about like big songs to play at a sporting venue, or occasion. We're going to start with at number 14, Tag Team with Whoomp. There it is, which is I can see that being a good Jock Jam. So yes, that's at number 14. So are we going to go up or down for a bit of Akadaka AC/DC Thunderstruck? Is that higher in the top 20, as in going towards number 1, or lower, going towards number 20?
I reckon higher.
Higher.
Okay. Bit of Akadaka higher.
No, I'm going to go lower.
Steve's right to go lower. It's number 15. Sorry, I can see you nodding with higher, Chris. Akadaka is number 15. So not much in it there. The next one I'm going for is Eminem, Lose Yourself.
Higher.
Oh,
Higher.
Yeah, it has to be high. Only number 11 though. Didn't quite make the top 10. The next one you may be surprised to find in the Jock Jams top 20, but it's Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2.
Oh.
God, I hope it's lower. I think
Lower.
Really lower, please.
Please be low.
Interestingly, the Tampa Bay Lightning Buccaneers music director was quoted as saying, when I first started, Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2 was the number 1 stadium anthem. But nobody really, at least in my experience I've talked to, a lot of people stay away from that song now. Do you think? But that's at still in Billboard in America, that's at number 7. It's clearly not cottoned on over there that Gary Glitter is not someone you should be supporting. So Gary Glitter's at number 7. So the next track that we're going to go for out of the top 20 is Europe, The Final Countdown.
Ooh, higher.
Yeah.
I want to say higher.
You say higher?
Fifth.
I'm going to have to say lower based on what you just said about Gary Glitter.
Well, you'd be right to go. It's number 17, which I think is a disgrace. Would you rather have the final countdown or a bit of Gary Glitter? Very disgraceful. It is disgraceful.
That's America's
and the last one we're going to go for is it's a big classic right now. Neil Diamond, Sweet Caroline. So is that higher or lower in the top 20 of Jock Jams as according to Billboard?
Got to be higher.
I think that's got to be top 3.
No, but in America it might not.
Yeah, I'm thinking America.
I think they've got right into it over there.
We think.
I hear it at baseball. Did they not have it at baseball?
Possibly. But it's, believe it or not, it's number 20.
Yeah.
Of all those songs we've just talked about, that is number 20. If anyone's interested, number 1 is Queen and We Will Rock You. That apparently is, according to the San Francisco 49ers senior manager of game presentation and live events, perhaps the greatest rock song of all time in a stadium arena setting. So would you agree with that, Tom?
Yeah, it's big, isn't it? I mean,
Yeah.
it still gets rolled out regularly, and it always gets a reaction. People love to tap along to that one.
And you always get "We Are the Champions" when the league's won and stuff.
Yeah, strong, very strong.
Absolutely. So that was Jock Jams. So there you go. Add that to your vocabulary. Bit of Jock Jams for future. And that was Sing When You're Winning for another week. So thank you so much for you, Tom, for joining us on this week's edition.
It's been a pleasure. I'd like to say thank you for getting through this without talking about the new assistant manager chip, which I don't.
That's true. Why haven't we gone there?
Because we went there a couple of weeks. We had we went off for about 10 minutes a couple of weeks ago. So I just thought
now it's actually launched.
Yeah.
Lee's played his.
Have you?
Yeah, just getting it out of the way because I can't be asked.
Ange, was it Ange?
Yeah. What do you think, Steve? No, it was actually David Moyes. I just thought he's doing all right with Everton, so get it out of the way.
I'm going to wait until the last 3 games of the season and just roll the dice with it.
I might do that when I'm desperate for points.
Yeah. When you get relegated.
Come and join us, Steve. Come and join us.
I would so love it if Chris goes down instead.
I'll be fine. I'll be fine. Wildcard comes out today.
Yeah. Now you're officially on this panel. It's just one way for me, mate. That's what's going to happen, I tell you. But yeah, thanks, Tom, and good luck to your team in the rest of the season, and also good luck to Reading as well.
Thank you so much. It's been a real pleasure to be on.
And Tom, you can take your Christmas decorations down now as well.
Great stuff. But thank you once again to all of you as well, Steve, Lee, and Jersey Chris. You can follow us on Twitter at SWYW_FPL. Remember the _. And if you're watching this on YouTube, you never know, you might have switched it on when we're talking about what Lee was up to, flicking the V's.
I watched last week's on YouTube. Actually,
it's good. It's good. It's an entertaining show.
On my telly as well. You're
on your telly. We were massive on the
Yeah.
But I bet the sound quality last week was horrendous on your telly. But yeah, leave us a comment, ask us an FPL question. We might even discuss it on next week's show, where we'll be joined by another top guest. But as ever, enjoy your footballing week and keep on singing and keep on winning. Goodbye.
Bye.